What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. I'm the counselor of cash, Sia Nejad, and this show is brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you knew it was going to happen at some point. A lot of winning days over the last 30 days, but yesterday was not one of them. Let's take a look at the recap screen. 2-7. Both SportsLine picks do not come through. Buckets misses, but he's been hot. I go basically 1-1-1 with my golf picks. Mikey B did hit his 1 for 2. I mean, he got the DeAndre Hunter, but don't forget, Wes is bringing on a baby, and he put out the Pampers parlay, which absolutely did come through. So hopefully some of you hit that. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to shake this 2-7 off. We got to do a lot better, and we're going to do better with the stars of the show on BPE Friday. Here we go. We got Mike McClure into whatever that is, probably some engineering book, thermodynamics. We got Buckets so excited he's knocking his camera around. And of course, if you missed your espresso, we've got your Chip Me Up.
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Diva. Good morning, Early Edge fam. Oh, boy. Because you thought that you were going to get through this weekend. You're like, oh, my God, we ain't got no football. No. Because we're at Pebble. We're at Spyglass. We are dropping winners on Friday night lights and college hoops and AC on Friday night. Lots to get into. Fired up to do it, as always, with the crew right here at BPE.
This is a great crew. That is a great intro. Buckets, how are you doing? And more importantly, how's your camera doing since you just gave it a Mike Tyson punch there?
Yeah, I can't move an inch or it's going to fall, so I'm stuck in this position for the rest of the show. See, I got asked, Buckets, what do you do after an 0-2 day? I do the exact same thing I would do after a 2-0 day. I help going back to the slate, and I'm going to find winners no matter what. Sia, excited to be here today.
Absolutely. Listen, you put out like 2-3 picks per show, which not everybody does. And, you know, there's going to be those bad days. I put out 3 golf picks, and I'll be honest, there's always that worry that you go 0 for 3 or you have a bad day. I ended up going 1-1-1, but credit to you for having the temerity to put out multiple picks every time you come onto the show. Temerity equals courage, everybody. We learn new stuff every day, and we learn stuff from Mike McClure every day. Mike, how you doing today?
I am doing well. Look, I wish that it was Super Bowl Sunday this week, but we will wait one more week. Still got college basketball, still got an awesome golf tournament going on right now. And our guy, Lucas Glover, is still up there near the top of the leaderboard, holding that 250-1. So we'll at least have a little sweat for another 24 hours here.
Yeah, that was fun. We were on HQ yesterday, and I mentioned, hey, Lucas Glover is a first-round leader. Of course, I didn't have him as a first-round leader. I had Lee Hodges, who almost got there.
With it. Yeah, I know. Until that bogey on 17, I was there with you, man.
He should have had a share at least, which honestly wouldn't have been a big payout. I also had Taylor Pendrith, and I'm trying to remember, I think Harry Hall. Oh, and Tom Hoagie. But those were my 4. But Glover, I was starting to have a little FOMO when he was coming down the stretch there, Mike, but he messed up one of his last couple of holes to not share the first-round lead or grab the first-round lead. A lot of golf to go, and we have a lot of golf on this show. We even have a college basketball bet from yours truly. I'm giving out one. It's first half, Sia, coming back, but we gotta address soccer first. Buckets, you got what, 1, 2, 3 picks? It's Friday. Usually you bring 3 somehow. What do you got today? Danny Brasco in the chat. What's up? Buckets, your go.
Yeah, I think I can make 3 plays work here, Sia. And we're going to start with a fantastic play in the Svein Bundesliga, the second tier of German soccer. I need everyone to come real close for this one because I found a bet, guys, that has hit 10 matches straight for Karlsruhe in the second Bundesliga. Both teams to score and over 2.5 goals against Elversberg. It's minus 125. It's a little bit of juice, but here's their most recent score lines. 3-2, 2-1, 3-1, 2-1, 2-1, 4-2, 2-2, 3-1, 2-3, 3-1. It has hit 10 matches straight, and at some point, you got to just take it. You don't overthink it. I'm not going to go into the details. Just take this bet. Second play, Serie A. Don't worry, Chip. I'm staying away from Fiorentina because I don't know what they're doing anymore. I cannot get a read on that side to save my life, but a team that I can read is Parma. Parma taking on US Lecce. Parma is a newly promoted side that is not playing like a newly promoted side. They are not scared. They've got both middle fingers in the air, and they are pressing attack every single game. They don't care if they're losing 3-0. They're going to find goals here. I'm actually taking Parma over 1.5 team total at plus 100. Even money. Lecce are one of the worst teams teams on the road, not only in all of Serie A, but in all of Europe. So expect Parma to use this match as a big way to pick up 3 big points. And then finally, third and final play, France's Ligue 1. It's a little bit of juice here, but we're taking both teams to score in the matchup between Montpellier taking on Lens. Lens is a good defensive team. Montpellier is not a good team, but Montpellier is finally turning things around, coming off back-to-back victories against Monaco and Toulouse. Both matches, they were at least a plus 400 underdog, and they won both of them. So this is a team that is out for blood right now, scoring goals, fighting a relegation battle, and I love BTTS in this fixture.
All right, that's 3 picks.
And
go ahead.
he addressed the milk cheese rivalry. Okay, when you've got Parma against Lecce, you want a piece. I mean, if you're gonna get into the Friday footy, I mean, grab a piece of the milk cheese rivalry. You can watch it on Paramount Plus, a mountain of entertainment. And I'm glad I've got an angle there because, as you mentioned, Buckets, what is Fiorentina doing? I saw it described to me recently as they're just rearranging the deck chairs in the back. You know, they're just we're switching out like replacement level parts for other replacement level parts. It's a weird time of the year over there in Florence.
Farzad says 3-0 Buckets Fridays is a real thing. Mike, you and I, when Chip and Buckets were just having a back and forth, you and I were like nodding like we knew what they were talking about, but yeah, we're just trying to play along a little bit here. I do want to address a couple things in the chat. By the way, Buckets, in case you didn't know, we're giving God, G-A-W-D, kind of a pass because that whole soccer, he was the guy that was like, hey, I'm going to mute when soccer picks come on. Oh. But he is like, he's sort of like actively like trolling and like not really being super serious. Like he's kind of being serious, but not super serious. So we're going to allow it. The chat's still on him, but we're going to
I did see the other day when you were asking who the best athletes are, Martin said Messi, and he responded saying Messi's not even an athlete because he plays soccer. That's when I knew that logic had left the conversation. I'm going to let it fly. I'm going to ignore it from now on. Do what you want to do, God. I respect you regardless.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Good stuff from everybody. Hit the like button if you could. All right. Well, that's soccer. We do have a couple of college basketball picks today. One from me and one from Chip Patterson.
Yeah.
Mac on Friday night, MAC is the place to be. CBS SN will get you set because every single weekend needs to start with winners. Oh yeah, baby, let's go. It is Mac Friday night on CBS Sports Network, and I am dialed in to a little Kent State rivalry. I know I've been telling you, it seems like everybody in the MAC has a rivalry because they're all from the state of Ohio, but when you've got Rob Senderoff, who you may remember from being an assistant who had to bite the bullet for Kelvin Sampson when he got in NCAA trouble way back in the day. He is the winningest and longest tenured coach in Kent State history. He is welcoming in the first place Akron Zips, John Gross, bringing it to the table. They have played some classics over the years. This is the number 1 offense in MAC play, in conference play in Akron against the number 1 defense in Kent State. We are going to, in this rivalry game, target the Kent State first half. Now, it's Kent State favored by 1.5 for the full game. I'm just going for fifth-year senior Von Cameron Davis, one of the best players in the conference, who has been there. I mean, how many fifth-year seniors have been at the same school for all 5 years? That this is going to be something where I think they come out, the home crowd is fired up, they're motivated, and let's just take it back to the last 2 home games, a 41-23 lead at halftime for Kent State in a win against Bowling Green, but how about this one? 41-32 lead at halftime in a loss against Miami, Ohio. They've been doing a good job of getting off to good starts. They set the tone with their defense and with their leadership with Davis. I've got Kent State in the first half minus -0.5 point.
All right, we got it's Adam saying Chip is working for that Tony nomination. Chip, the early edge now working for that Tony nomination. That was a pretty great delivery, my friend.
I mean, I'm excited about it. All I do is translate my enthusiasm for the matchups. That's all I got for you. I don't know. It's what happens in my head, Sia, and then I just bring it to the people.
All right. Well, we got Rick Funcannon with some picks for the people. Eric Gordon, 3+ 3-pointers at +135. Chris Kish, for God and for everybody else, has some Premier League weekend picks. So check those out. Let's see. We've got a lot of picks in the chat, and I'll try to get to them. But how about some SportsLine picks real quick? We got Cornell. minus 10.5 versus Dartmouth. Again, that's a SportsLine pick. Cornell laying a big number here, minus 10.5 versus Dartmouth. And then the next one, Blue Jackets versus Utah Hockey Club. We're getting a name change for them, right? We're getting a name change for Utah. They're like nominating. They got name
not
nominations.
To the Yeti. The Yeti was the perfect name, and they're
Yeah.
not going to go with it.
That's tough. That's tough. Blue Jackets versus Utah Hockey Club. We're taking the under there, 6.5. So the two SportsLine picks, Cornell minus 10.5, and the under in Blue Jackets Utah Hockey Club under 6.5. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, sign up now and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM plus a 1-year free subscription to SportsLine with bonus code SportsLine1500. Get exclusive members only picks for all major sports from proven models and 40 plus Vegas experts, plus predictive tools for pick'em, brackets, player stats, and more. Get this offer in 4 easy steps. Download the BetMGM Sports app and register an account using bonus code SportsLine1500. Make your first deposit of at least $10. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. And then claim your free 1-year subscription to SportsLine in your BetMGM inbox. I'll read that last part one more time. Claim your free 1-year subscription to SportsLine in your BetMGM inbox. Of course, most of you are SportsLine members anyway, but for the few of you that happen to stumble in and for some reason you're not a SportsLine member, wow, what a promo. We got to get to some more picks though. Mike, I've kept you silent. We've got a round 2 matchup that you have to give, that I have to give. I got a college basketball pick that I've got to give. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. A 16 beats a 1. From sweet to elite to the Final Four.
All right, we're back on the early edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. A couple more picks here. Sam Burns over Sung J M at plus 100 from Scott. I don't necessarily love that. I think I'd probably be on the Sung J side of that, but good luck to you there, Scott. Big Cheesy says Chris Paul over 8.5 points at minus 125. A lot of picks coming in. Mike, can I ask you something before I give out my 2 picks? We are now at Friday, and so we're almost a week through sort of the Super Bowl chatter. Has anything changed in your mind or prop-wise from Monday when these lines came out, or I should say Sunday night when these lines came out, to today where you're starting to trend a different direction with either a player prop or a game line or a total or anything like that?
Nothing has changed too much for me other than I have been staring at DeAndre Hopkins props just because of the price point. We're talking first touchdown plus 3,200 now. Anytime touchdown can be had as high as plus 700. Look, he came over to Kansas City for a reason, to chase a Super Bowl ring. They tried to give him a few targets in the end zone in the AFC Championship game. I think it's an interesting look, whether it be first touchdown or anytime touchdown on DeAndre Hopkins. Just numbers you haven't seen on a player who's still one of the better possession receivers in the NFL, even at this point in his career.
Fair enough. All right.
Have you all discussed the total?
Yeah, 49.5. You have any thoughts on that, Chip?
I was it just, like it like dropped some places to 48.5, then back up to 49. I mean, we're dancing on like one of the keyest of key numbers right there. I was curious if the more NFL savvy of the show, or Buckets, who is maybe one of the winningest.
What does the coin
NFL,
say?
Yeah. One of the winningest NFL voices on the show is going to jump in there. I mean, everybody's posting their 5-figure ticket on the under, on social media, but I don't know, man. Did Buffalo run the ball effectively on the Kansas City Chiefs? Yeah, okay. Are they the Kansas City Chiefs? Yeah, okay. I don't know. It's just something I'm sort of kicking around right now.
So, Mike, before you respond, and we'll get to our picks in a second. So one thing that I like is the first half under. That was an official pick I put out. I guess it was on Tuesday or Monday, under 24.5. So I'm under that 24 key number, and I've got the hook to play with as well. I will say, Mike, I know you're on I think it's a first half over Kansas City, or is it? Yeah, it's first half over Kansas City, correct?
Yes, going to be on the 12.5 on Kansas City. Just pretty much an auto play in a dome. Great team, touchdown, 2 field goals. Again, very different than the 13.5 that I think it should be. So
yeah, and Chip, I will say this: I do think the over probably comes in. And that's in spite of the fact that I like the first half under, because I do think one of these two teams are going to have to open it up in the second half, like whoever's trailing, if it's not like a super neutral game script. But I don't really have an opinion on the overall total, but I'm still sticking with that under 24.5.
Yeah, I haven't really put together my robust card because, I mean, last football game of the year, let the chopper spray, right? I mean, you're not just coming in here with one ticket in your hand. We gotta spray the board on that one.
We're going to be talking a lot about different types of tickets as we progress through the week, through next week. All right, let's progress through round 2 of Pebble Beach. I'm going to go with, these are two golfers that I don't really like, Tony Finau and Max Homa, but the one that's playing particularly poorly right now, say it with me, it's Max Homa. And I'm getting Tony Finau. It's kind of a steep price, minus 135 against Max Homa. But here's the thing. Max Homa comes into this tournament playing extremely poorly. One of the guys that's playing probably the worst in this entire field, and he didn't play very well yesterday either. And his strokes gained metrics kind of spoke to that. Tony Finau also hasn't been playing well, came off an offseason surgery, but he's starting to warm up, and we're starting to see that with the metrics. Yesterday, it was pretty flat across the board, but not a lot of negative. I mean, he was actually positive in most strokes gained metric categories. And with that said, it's just such an easy fade for Max Homa. If Tony Finau remained super flat and remained somebody who was playing relatively poorly, this would be a no play for me. But Tony Finau minus 135 over Max Homa makes a ton of sense to me. I do like the play. And then I'm going to college basketball. First half, my Georgetown Hoyas are playing Butler, and I just think it's a really good matchup. Georgetown's been really skidding lately. They were 3-0 in conference play, and then all of a sudden, I believe they've lost 6 out of 7 in the Big East. But this is a great matchup for them. They get Butler at home, coming off a terrible loss. I'm talking about Georgetown, coming off a terrible loss against St. John's. I don't trust Georgetown's ability to close out games because they're just kind of a young team, and they don't have a ton of talent yet, but neither does Butler. So what I do expect is Georgetown to come out, focus on Thomas Sorber inside. The Butler they're not going to turn Georgetown over, and Georgetown is kind of victims of turning the ball over. It's just such a great matchup. I see a response coming from that St. John's loss. First half in particular, laying 1.5. I'm going to go ahead and take that. I think they're winning by 2 or more at halftime. All right.
Love that.
Thank you. That's a golf pick. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that in the losing streak, they have had close losses against the best teams in the conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like 5 points or less. Was it Marquette, UConn, St. John? I mean, before the blowout against St. John's, you were looking at like losses where, Ed Cooley's got that team kind of knocking on the door, and they're just not, they just do not have the pieces yet to win those ball games. So I like the play there, finally getting like to catch your breath a little bit.
That's right.
Like Butler.
And that's the thing against St. John's. It was a pretty tight spread. It was a 5-point spread, but you could see that getting away from Georgetown potentially. This is not a game where I think it can get away from Georgetown. I expect them to win the game, but I think it's going to be close down the stretch. I don't want to lay the 3.5. All right, Mike McClure, we're looking at Denny McCarthy in round 2.
Denny McCarthy here, Sia, over on BetMGM, minus 110 against Keith Mitchell. I like this for Denny McCarthy, and it's really because of the course setup. There are just a few events on tour that set up really well for Denny McCarthy. First of all, we know how short these courses are here. That is really a benefit to him. But when you look at some of the strokes gain data that happened in round 1, he actually lost 2 strokes on the putting greens. That is significant because he's one of the best putters in the world. And I liked what I saw everywhere else. So I like this spot for him. Keith Mitchell, on the other hand, lost almost 3 strokes tee to green, poured it in with gaining 2 strokes on the putting surfaces. Not something that I expect from Keith Mitchell going forward. So when I look at Denny McCarthy, he just simply had a poor start to round 1, bogeyed his first hole of the tournament, bogeyed another, was +2, ended up finishing -1 on the day with the 3 birdies on the back 9, and absolutely clean, beautiful back 9 for him. So I like this spot a lot for Denny McCarthy. This has moved to -125 in a few spots. I priced it all the way up to -140 against Keith Mitchell. I think this is just a classic case of you've got both golfers sitting -1, paired them together here. I think that Denny McCarthy is the play in this one, though. As you and I both know, we follow Denny McCarthy a lot. He can absolutely go low at a setup like this because of how good he is on putting surfaces. Let's go Denny McCarthy here, -110 over Keith Mitchell.
All right, and I'm going to go around the horn, buckets to you and Chip, just to see if there's anything in the chat to catch up on. But Peyton Gerard says, would you run back Glover over Jaeger? Mike, you're the one on Glover. I probably wouldn't, and it's not because I want to fade Glover necessarily. Although his strokes gain metrics, he was really good with the putter, if memory serves. The ball striking wasn't great, but I do expect the ball striking to be okay. The problem is, I thought Jaeger was pretty good yesterday, and so I just kind of don't want to mess with it. The wind's going to be up. Jaeger typically good in that environment. If I was going to run a bet back from yesterday, I probably lean to the other two, particularly the Tom Hoagie one over, I believe, Justin Rose. But again, I didn't like it enough to make it an official play. But of the three, that's probably the one I would go back to. Maybe a slight lean to that Taylor Pendrith over Siwoo Kim as well. Mike, do you have any thoughts on Glover over Jaeger? Obviously, it's not an official play for you. Any thoughts on that, though?
I don't love it. I generally like, obviously, Lucas Glover. We played him, but I'm not looking to really invest a little bit more at that point. I think that if you want something fun to play, I don't dislike Justin Thomas to be the leader after round 2, plus 550 to plus 600. Just been really encouraged with the way JT is playing right now. And as you mentioned, some of the weather conditions, he's someone that typically has the skill set to succeed in that spot. So I'm not going to play Glover though today.
You just reminded me, I might put out, before they start at, I believe, 11:35, I might put out a lowest round 2 score, as opposed to round 2 leader, lowest round 2 score, because I was looking at that last night, but I just never got back around to it. Buckets, anything to talk about soccer-wise?
Yes, I've been taking notes on questions in the chat, so I'm going to rapid fire some leans real quick, if that's okay, Sia. Rayo Vallecano, draw no bet against Legans, over 2.5 goals in Bremen versus Mainz, both teams to score in Blackburn versus Preston, and team total for Famalicão against Boa Vista in Portugal.
Wow, impressive stuff. Chip, anything?
Yeah, there's a lot of Ivy League buzz, and I'm just going to tell you that I have not sharpened my Ivy League, my feels yet. Do you have something, Mike?
I got an interesting text message this morning. We'll disclose it here, but basically, I got woken up at 6:30 from a good friend asking me if I could get some more money down on him on Harvard because he had been limited, and
Wow.
wanted a pretty significant position on Harvard. Started around +7, then +6, +5, down to 4.5, and also on the money line. Apparently, there could be some news on Columbia this afternoon.
Wow. That is very interesting. All right. See, we're breaking news. We don't know what the news is, but we're breaking it nonetheless. All right. I think it's probably time. Forgive me if I didn't get to your comments. We ran a little bit long, but let's get to the recap screen. Buckets, you're doing your 3 because I am definitely going to mess that up. So I'll start with mine. Tony Finau, -135 over Max Homa, and Georgetown first half, -1.5. Mike's got Denny McCarthy today, -110 over Keith Mitchell. Chip Patterson's got Kent State -0.5, and Buckets, go ahead.
See, when I was on the network show the other day, they asked, how do I always pronounce these teams right? And then they heard me say them and go, oh, he doesn't. So just remember that while I do this. Elversberg versus Karlsruhe, both teams to score in over 2.5. Parma versus Lecce, milk versus cheese. Parma over 1.5 team total. We are on cheese side. And then Montpellier versus Lens, both teams to score.
All right, and then we got a couple of sports line picks. Cornell -10.5 versus Dartmouth, and the Blue Jackets Utah Hockey Club under 6.5. Those are the 2 sports line picks. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show. Again, we ran a little bit long trying to get to a lot of questions, a lot of dialogue regarding the Super Bowl, college basketball, crazy text messages that Mike gets at 6:30 in the morning. We had a lot of soccer stuff to cover, thanks to Buckets. Really, really good stuff. And that intro, I'm still pumped from that intro, Chip Patterson. So we all appreciate you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Early Edge on behalf of Debo on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. We got Buckets, we got Chip Patterson, we got Mike McClure. I'm Sia Nejad, the Counselor of Cash. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great Friday. This is the Early Edge, and we rest our case.